Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this Let's Put Our Cities on the Map Google Apps for Work presentation. My name is Gretchen, and I am delighted that you're here with us today. I'm standing here with Spencer, who's a program manager on the Google Apps for Work team. In today's presentation, we will go over Google Apps for Work, which is a comprehensive suite of apps used by over 5 million businesses of all sizes. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind you to go ahead and jot down any questions you might have and give them to your local host. This way, we can be sure to answer them at the end of the presentation. And I want to give a warm welcome to everyone watching us, but especially to our partners in Oak Lawn, Illinois, Harrisburg, Illinois, Bellevue, Washington, Riverside, California, Sunnyvale, California, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. Welcome. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Spencer. Spencer, take it away.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Like Gretchen said, my name is Spencer. I'm here on the Google Apps for Work team here in Mountain View, California. I'm here to give you a light demonstration and run through of what is included in the Google Apps for Work suite. So a light agenda for the day. We are going to be going over quite a bit. First, we're going to give you a high-level overview of what is included within Google Apps. We're then going to talk specifics about how you can create and unlock collaboration techniques you might not be using today with these tools. We're going to talk about how Google Apps overall just helps to improve the communication of your team, both externally and internally. And because no presentation is ever long enough to answer all of your questions, we're going to wrap up with a few resources at the end to help you learn more. So, about Google Apps for Work, let's kind of set the context with some facts that may or may not surprise you. Right now, work happens everywhere. It is no longer the traditional cubicle in a large building downtown, and you know this well enough because lots of you probably work outside the office regularly. In fact, we find that 1 in 3 folks say that applies to them. 3 out of 4 folks choose the smart device that they use at their office. And why is that? It's usually because, as similarly, 3 out of 4 folks find that the technology that they have at home is actually better than the technology that they have at work. It's not too difficult to imagine. The smartphone in your pocket was probably purchased in the last 2 to 3 years, whereas the computer desktop at your office may have been purchased a decade ago. But in a multi-device world, it's not as though we access our work on one tool or another. In fact, you've probably experienced this, seeing your email on a laptop, hitting the road to head home and checking your work on maybe an email on a smartphone or a tablet, and continuing it at home over the coffee table or wherever you might be on a different device. The average knowledge worker, that is people who access information on a daily basis, use 3 separate devices. So that's all well and good, but what does that actually mean? Why does that matter to us? Well, the ability to access your files from so many different places means you also need the ability to share those files, to collaborate on them, and to actually take advantage of the fact that the workforce and work as we know it is going more mobile. So how can we share the data that we need to with vendors, with coworkers, with partners, whomever the party may be? Well, we at Google think that Google Apps for Work is built specifically and positioned perfectly to do just that. It allows you to do some key things. First, the ability to store all of your data online, making it universally accessible. No longer do you need to only be in the office at your computer to access your work. You can actually view it on any device because we are what we call device agnostic. We are also entirely web-based, meaning that access is unlocked more than it might typically be in an office environment. Apart from that, you can share those documents that you need to with folks that need it, whether it be coworkers, partners, vendors, whatever it may be. The ability to share these things was maybe traditionally done by, let's pull up an email, let's find in an address book who the right person to send it to, let's attach that document that we need in an email, let's send it over, hope that it's not too large, and hope that they can access it when it reaches their inbox. No more. With Google Apps for Work, you can have a few clicks and instantly share the work that matters with the people that need it. And that's all doable because we allow you to access your work from any device. Again, device agnostic. I don't care if you have an iPhone, an Android device, a Windows phone, a Macintosh computer. You'll be able to get the same look and feel for all of your tools, regardless of which device you use. And what does that all mean for you? The ability to do more. We know that you didn't get into your profession so you could spend your days trying to figure out the best way to share with coworkers, trying to figure out why your email won't stay up on a consistent basis. That's not why you go to work every day. And Google Apps for Work intends to take those frustrations out of your work life so you can spend more time doing the things that you're passionate about. And we have two basic options. We want to keep it really simple here. And they are similarly called Google Apps Unlimited and Google Apps for Work. Now, both of these are going to give you a certain amount of space. Unlimited, as the name entails, is an unlimited amount of space, and it also will have an unlimited amount of users, just like the basic package. Both of these are also going to give you what you really need, a 99.9% guarantee on email uptime, meaning that you won't have to experience these days when you come into the office and realize that an email didn't send as it was supposed to realize that you don't have the documents you need because it's not on an available web page. This is going to give you uptime at almost every single corner. That's the promise that we give you when you sign up for Google Apps for Work. We're also going to give you 24/7 phone support. We realize that these tools, although they may be familiar to some and totally new for others, usually have some element of technical aspect needed. So we're here to support you as you transition over to Google Apps for Work and as you dig further into the product as well. You're going to get priority email support. We have a team of dedicated specialists waiting for your calls specifically. So if you have Google Apps for Work, know that you'll be supported from our technical team in every element of what you do. And one thing I want to quickly clear up is Google Apps for Work is email hosted by Google, but it is different from a Gmail account. As opposed to signing up your business with a Gmail account, which doesn't look incredibly professional, you can get your professionally hosted domain and have the same look and appearance from your client side, even while you're using the tools that ultimately will be more reliable on Google's infrastructure. The price for user is broken down at the bottom. Again, very simple. $10 per user per month for the unlimited side, and $5 for the basic package. But as it is unlimited, we would hate for you to think that that was where the differences end. In fact, the unlimited plan comes with quite a bit more. You'll have advanced administrative controls for Drive. And just for the context, Drive is the online storage receptacle that you use to manage all of your documents. Anyone who needs to do audits or reporting for what their employees are working on at a certain time and place will have that ability with Google Apps Unlimited. And it comes through a tool called Google Vault. Google Vault does this buzz term you see on the screen called e-discovery. What does that really mean? It means the ability to search through all of your documents and data at a moment's notice without any extra filtration. If you're a super administrator on Google Apps Unlimited, you have complete access and control to see what your users and what your employees are working on, whom they've shared things with, all the emails incoming and outgoing. Everything is recorded so that you have a record of all of your intellectual property and all of the projects that you may have in flight. You can also continue to archive emails sent by your company, but more importantly, you can set retention policies. So if a super administrator like yourself sets a retention policy of an indefinite amount of time, if I'm your employee, I go in and maybe I accidentally or, God forbid, intentionally delete something that's important for our company. You as a super administrator can recall that data at any time, even if I've actually deleted it. It places an extra protection on all of your data to make sure it stays in-house and easily accessible by you. Apart from that, we do have companies that have specific litigation needs, need to have audits done of their data, and Google Vault allows for that as well. And what does that all mean? So it sounds like a lot of words, and what does that actually mean in terms of actual security? What third-party vendors have labeled Google a secure resource? Well, you can see a list of them right below. SSA 16, the ISO certifications, these are all done by third-party security firms that look at all the cloud providers out there, Google being one of them, and give this badge of honor as a security appendage that says this is a secure document. This is a secure tool to house all of your intellectual property and all of your email. We also adhere to safe harbor privacy principles. And specifically for folks who are in the healthcare industry, and that's certainly the folks that I work with on a daily basis, you need access to something that is going to give you HIPAA compliance. Now, what is HIPAA compliance? If you're in the healthcare industry, you know this very well. The audits that go around have no limit on the size of company that they could potentially affect. And we at Google want to make sure that you are totally protected and in compliance with that law. So signing up for Google Apps for Work will ultimately adhere to the standards laid out and needed by HIPAA. Now, apart from the legal jargon, how do you actually create with Google Apps? How do you explore these tools? How do you utilize them to the best of your ability to unlock the potential of your teams? There are a couple ways, and we'll go into a few of them right now. In this section, we're going to go over Google Docs, and we're going to hit you with a few productivity tips as well. But first of all, what is Google Docs? Essentially, Google Docs is an umbrella program. It's a suite of productivity apps that let you create online documents and work on them in real time with other people. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that no longer do you have to send out a first edition of a particular Word document and then have someone redline edit it and then send it back as version 2. And then you get an email back from 3 or 4 other collaborators with their edits. Suddenly you have 4 different documents, maybe even more, and no one single source of truth. Google Docs eliminates that problem by having all of the collaborators able to access one document all at the same time, make their changes, and see those changes in real time, as well as a historical readout of what those changes were and who made them at any specific point in time. Apart from Google Docs, though, you'll have tools that include spreadsheets, presentations, forms, if you ever need survey data, drawings, and web pages through Google Sites. All of your changes are saved automatically. In fact, one of the funniest things I get from customers is, okay, I'm in a Google Doc, I'm in a spreadsheet, I'm in a presentation. Where's the save button? That's the thing. It's already saved. It's saved continuously so that you don't have to worry about the sudden loss of power in your office or a hard drive that suddenly fails on your computer. I think any student, any person in the professional field can relate to some massive document, some massive project that they've worked so hard on and then have had a power failure. And then have had some kind of glitch happen on their hardware. That means all of their data, if they forgot to hit save, is gone. That problem is, again, eliminated from day one with Google Apps because we save things continuously and allow you to go back and see a history of what you've done at any time you please. The bigger thing, though, is that this tool will actually work with all popular file types. So even though we're focusing specifically on Google Docs, spreadsheets, forms, etc., we know that you have many other file types needed in your office, and we're going to allow you to use the same functionality with those as well. So additionally, Google Apps for Work will allow you to create a presentation with slides, ask for feedback on a Google Doc. This is as simple as adding a comment to a doc, plussing in your colleague, and asking for their feedback. You can actually create a survey with Google Forms and collect data. So for example, if you need to have a quick survey done of your office employees to find their mutual availability, or if you just need to send out a document form to your partners to see what their availability is for something, all of the data that they fill out, when they see a straight form, they fill it out, they hit send, all that data is automatically recorded in a Google Sheet. So if you think about that and apply it to a larger group, you can actually draw insights from form feedback in real time, as opposed to combing through the data, trying to parse out what it means, and then finding some statistical insight from it. And finally, we're going to give you the ability to publish your web pages with Google Sites. It's usually used as an internal collaboration platform, but also does allow you to publish to the web as well. So how hard is it to create a new document in Docs? So the screenshot you see in front of you is actually Google Docs online. This is something that you could easily see on your phone, tablet, what have you as well. But essentially, you just need to click in and select your template. That's all. And as I mentioned earlier, we realize that even though we want you to only use Google Docs because we're Google, there are definitely people out there who need access to PDFs, who need access to the Microsoft tools that they've used forever. And we don't say no to that. You can actually add all of those files respectively to Google Drive as well. You can get the same access of security and reliability for those documents and put them in a place where they're universally accessible. That's really the key here is right now we don't want your work to be siloed on specific computers or on specific accounts. Rather, we realize it's much more powerful if you can send those documents of any file type to whomever you need instantly so that you can get the work done you need, collaborate in real time, and move on to the next task. So that's all well and good. What does it actually look like in practice, right? So let's go over some productivity tips. We already know from experience and historically that file names really do matter. So in the example I brought up earlier, if you send out an email and you ask for revisions from 5 or 6 people, you're going to get an email back with the revised version of those documents, all appended to different emails. It makes it very tricky to find which is the ultimate source of truth. A good way of overcoming that in Google Docs is to specifically name your files based on who's made the most recent edit, based on what how final that document may be. Maybe it's draft 3, maybe it is the final and approved copy. As opposed to having different documents that all have these different names, you can simply change the name of one document, of one source of truth, and eliminate the difficulty of parsing through multiple documents at once. There's also no need for version control. As I mentioned earlier, all of the documents made in, all the changes to a document made in one place might seem a little frightening, because how am I going to keep track of all those document changes? How will I know who's made what change at what time? We've already thought of that, and we've made it really easy for you. It's as simple as going, as you see in the screenshot, from file down to see revision history. The screenshot on the bottom on the right-hand side will show a full sidebar of all the changes, who made them, at what time, and gives you the ability to go back and restore it to a previous version. So I'm sure you can relate to this. Sometimes you send out a document for editing, and maybe the changes that come back are useful, and maybe some of them you don't quite agree with. This allows you to restore to the version that you actually want without having to go back from square one and figure out who made what change when. You can also ask for suggestions. It is not the only option to just send out and ask for a revised version. You can actually get suggestions in real time. How easy is that? Well, every document will have a button in the top right-hand corner called Share. You click that button and you get a screen like the screenshot we have in here. And you can type in specific email addresses, whether they be group email addresses or individual ones, and give folks edit, comment, or view-only access, depending on what level of collaboration you're looking for. This allows folks to actually make the changes and suggest things that they want to see happen without fundamentally changing the document. You give yourself the ability to get the collaboration you need, but also the control that you want. Above that, it wouldn't be Google if we didn't allow you a little bit of additional fun with these documents. So you can actually do voice typing. And this is great for people with accessibility needs in their organization, but also is fantastic if you're just on the run, if you're interested in trying this voice feature out as opposed to typing. It's as easy as clicking the Tools button, going down to voice typing, and starting to speak to your computer. I usually find it works a little better with headphones to keep out the excess noise from my coworkers, but I'm sure this has an application that you could use as well. All right, so now we've talked about creating. How can I make documents? How can I collaborate more easily with my coworkers and vendors and partners? Now we're going to move on to a communication section. We're going to go over Gmail, something you may be familiar with on a personal basis. We're going to talk about Google Hangouts, which is our chat and video conferencing functionality. And then we're going to finish off again with some power tips for you as a user. So the biggest value sell, if you want to call it that, with Google Apps is that all of these respective pieces, Gmail, Calendar, Google Docs, Google Hangouts for voice chatting, and Google Drive all integrate together. They're all stitched together on the web, meaning that these tools are built to work within one another. Meaning that if you get an email that has a specific calendar request, all you have to do is hover over the date and it'll automatically add it to your calendar. If you want to send a meeting invitation via Gmail, you can. And it allows you also to add specific Hangout attachments to that specific calendar event, so that if your users wanted to do a screen share, for example, which we'll see in a sec, all they have to do is click on the link in your calendar invitation, and they're there communicating and collaborating with you immediately. Again, a lot of meetings that we schedule on calendars will have specific agendas, to-do lists, documents that you're creating and co-collaborating on, a team agenda that you need to get through in a certain meeting. You can attach those directly to your calendar invitations so that when you start a meeting, all you have to do is click on the meeting invite and see all of your relevant documents there in one place. Bringing those all together means that you're not having to switch between, okay, so the email calendar invitation is in my email, but the calendar notification is on my calendar, and where are my docs? Are they in Word? Are they in Docs? What format are they in? No. Enough of that, you can get all of this information collapsed in one place where your calendar event becomes the main source of truth. And that's just one example. The fact that all these tools are stitched together means that they're supposed to be there to integrate with each other and make your day a little bit easier. Apart from that, this may be the most familiar slide on the entire presentation. Gmail, the consumer product, is used by over 900 million people. It is the #1 email platform in the world, and it's only been around for a decade or so. And that's truly phenomenal. The fact that this tool has only been around for so little time yet has spread so rapidly doesn't happen by accident. It happens because it's one of the easiest email platforms to get used to and to use. It's in use by 70% of the top universities in the country. It's used by 5 million businesses, like Gretchen told you at the beginning of this presentation, and you probably use it yourself. If you do, the good news is that a move to Google Apps means that the look and feel of your email will be really similar to what Gmail has done for you. Of course, there's a lot of administrator capabilities and tweaks that you can make that you can't make on a personal basis, but the familiarity for your users is generally pretty easy to adapt to. The biggest difference that I think a lot of folks that I talk to get confused by is that a move to Google Apps means that you're actually going to keep your professional domain that you've already paid for and have. All you're going to do is park it on Google's premises. That is to say that your Google Apps account won't read at gmail.com. It'll read at your professional domain. You still get the professional branding that you need. You still get the professional appearance when people see your emails, but it's in a platform that is ultimately the most reliable and one of the easiest to use out there. What are Google Hangouts? I was talking a little earlier about those. It might have been the first time you've ever heard of them, and that's just fine. But Google Hangouts, in short, are our way of instantly communicating with our colleagues. Sometimes email is just not the right way to go. For example, I know that if I email my manager, my response could come back in 2 minutes. It could also come back in 2 days. And sometimes I need instant answers. That's where Google Hangouts comes in. It allows you to chat instantly with your colleagues, whether you're on a phone, tablet, computer, doesn't matter. And even so, even though the chat is certainly something that's really useful, it also allows you to do video conferencing immediately with up to 15 participants. So I know when my customers and I communicate, a lot of them want to see specific screenshots or specific examples of what these tools look like. And we use Google Hangouts to communicate, to instantly upload a video that allows us to get a more real human interaction and get more work done faster. There's built-in screen sharing as well. So you don't always have to look at my face as you're talking to me. I can actually show you a specific document that I'm referencing, perhaps a calendar invite or some other documentation. I can use that to be actually my screen sharing piece. No longer do you need a separate application on a separate window or a separate program installed to do that. We allow you to do that all through Google Hangouts, all through one integrated platform that appears in Gmail just as easily as it does as a standalone product. There's also no time limit on these. So what we're using right now, how you're seeing me presently, is a Hangout on air. Slightly different, but similar technology used. So there's the look and feel of the screen you have right now is a lot of what you would see in a scenario where you're using Google Apps and using Google Hangouts specifically to communicate outside of your organization. Now on to a few power tips. I know you might be really excited about these, thinking, how could this possibly impact me? And there are a number of ways to make them even more powerful. I think that a lot of customers that I talk to have questions about email size attachments. So that's very indicative of the way that people usually share, communicate, and collaborate. If I need to share a document with you, I'm more than likely going to open up an email, hit attach, hope that my document is in a zipped file format or is small enough to send over the internet, and then hope that it gets delivered to your inbox where you will open an email, click the attachment, download the document, and open it up again. Now, in those few steps, you've already realized that there's a pretty laborious process involved here, but it can be made much easier through Gmail. We actually have said, we need to be able to share and collaborate on much larger documents. So we've opened up that capability, and now you can get the ability to see your documents in real time, to share them with others without the cumbersome file attachments that you had before, straight through Google Drive. As you see on the screenshot, there's a Google Drive icon that appears in your Gmail. Really goes back to what I was talking about earlier. All of these products are integrated, they're stitched together, they're there with the explicit purpose of cutting down the amount of steps that it takes for you to go from communicating to collaborating to finishing a product. As we are Google, it wouldn't be right if we gave you a product that wasn't able to take advantage of the phenomenal Google search functionality that our engineers have helped to create. So if you want to use the search capability on a Google website, you might type in a specific keyword or a date or a question even. And you can do the same thing on Gmail. You can find all of the information that you need through simple searches. If you want to filter, if you know it was from a specific person, if you know the subject, that's all well and good. Honestly, all of the examples you see on here are great ways to really target and pinpoint when you're combing through gigabytes of emails, the ones that matter to you. But truthfully, I usually go up to the search bar that you'll see in the top of your Gmail and just search for a term or a phrase that I know exists in that email that I need to find. And instantly, I'll get a list of all the relevant ones that matter to me. I'll be able to find any piece of data, no matter how long ago it was shared with me, because all of this information is saved on a continual basis. All this information is searchable on a continual basis, all intended to make it that much easier to comb through the mass amount of work that you may have. Again, you'll see this URL at the bottom. There's actually a complete list of all the kind of ninja ways you can search through your Gmail. But again, I find that the most effective one is simply to use the search functionality as it was intended and just the way you use on the Google search engine. Apart from that, you may be on an email platform right now that allows you to flag certain emails, that allows you to put them in specific folders or have a specific hierarchy available. The first thing to know is that hierarchy won't disappear when you move to Gmail. In fact, you'll be able to migrate your mail over to our platform and preserve that entire hierarchy for all of your emails and data to make it that much easier to make the change. But apart from that, you can also use what Google refers to as labels to organize your email. The advantage here is that labels can actually have multiple labels attached to one email, whereas an email typically can only go into one folder. But if you have a specific label, say travel expenses, you can nest that under a larger label called travel that has all of the relevant details of your business trips or something like that. And you can use the labels to organize the amount of mail that you have. We find truthfully that the more labels you use, the more effective you are at searching for what you need down the road. Apart from that, once you've actually labeled the emails, you'll be able to see them all in a neat left sidebar that organizes all of your labels. So you can quickly click on maybe the travel label as I used earlier and see instantly all the emails that you've appended that label to in the past. Another way of just being able to further organize and segment and easily understand the data that you have. Another huge piece is that Google is such an online company. We preach online all the time. We use the web to stitch these tools together. You've heard me say it throughout this presentation, but some customers get worried that, well, if I go to Gmail, I need the web in order to function. I need the web in order to access these tools. That's not actually the case. And you'll see Gmail offline on the screen in front of you right now. But this is one of several tools that you have available in an offline mode. Google Calendar, Google Drive, all of your documents, all of your emails, even though they are on a web-based tool to make it easy to access, if you lose access to the internet, which, believe me, does happen, if you're on an airplane where you don't have access to Wi-Fi, if you're just in a poor Wi-Fi coverage area, all you need to do is switch on Gmail offline and instantly be able to access all the tools you have. You want to write a few emails? Fine. You want to check your emails from the last historical few hours? No big deal. Once you log back on, all of your changes are automatically synced, and those emails that have been waiting in the queue are sent immediately. One more thing. If you're really looking to take Google Apps to the next level, you can try our newest mobile app, which is Google Inbox. Inbox.google.com would give you the same web interface. But this is actually a real testament to our engineers on the Google Apps for Work side. Gmail has been around a long time, and it's actually got quite a few users, as we talked about earlier. But we're always looking for the next best way of utilizing these tools. And Inbox is a perfect example of that. It's a new approach to email. It does some automatic categorizations that you might have gotten a taste of already if you're a Gmail power user. It shows you the highlights. If you can set reminders, all of your to-do lists, your agendas are all integrated into one email platform. That really makes it even easier for you to organize your life. Now, truthfully, there are plenty of people who are used to Gmail, don't want to switch off Gmail because that change kind of freaks them out, and that's okay. That's no big deal. But if you do want to take your organization to another level, if you want to further use these power tips that we've talked about today, Inbox is a great way to start, and it's available anytime from whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. Similar to what we're doing today, I think it's good to note how to share and present your screen in a Google Hangout, because even though it's great to see the person you're communicating with, frequently, Hangouts are scheduled to discuss a particular topic, agenda, or project. And it really helps to be able to have a reference so everyone can keep on the same page. This is made incredibly easy in Hangouts. From the video icon, you just simply look to the left to find the green icon you see on your screen now, and click that button. Instantly, your screen will be projected to the other person, and you can continue with work as usual. Now, as I said, there are lots of things that we could talk about. This could probably go on for hours, but I don't have the voice capacity for that, and you probably don't have the patience for that, understandably. So here are a few extra resources to help you continue your learning and explore more about these tools. The Google Apps for Work webpage is on google.com/apps. You can see customer testimonials, pricing readouts, a review of some of the stuff we've talked about today, as well as interactive demos on every single part of the suite, whether it be Gmail, Calendar, Hangouts, the admin side, whatever it is, that's all available to you as well. We also have a phenomenal and totally revamped support site. It's support.googleapps.com. You can find any piece of information you're looking for. How do I migrate over to Google Apps? How do I enroll multiple domains? How do I add and remove users? Is this going to be easy or is it going to be hard for me? The intention of this site is to give you the same search capability of the Google search engine. So you'll see that search bar at the top of that page. It is ideal for any question you might have as you're continuing to do your research. I would absolutely recommend that you check that out as well. Apart from that, as the open source technology, the company that we are, we also have a Google Apps Marketplace. So if you're looking for a CRM or a telephony solution, something to expand the capabilities, we have multiple partners that we've worked with for years to integrate platforms that sit right on top of Google Apps to expand their capabilities beyond what they are today. And finally, YouTube. We've got a lot of fantastic user resources available to you to learn more about these tools. Maybe there's a specific question you have, or maybe you're just generally trying to figure out what is this Google Apps thing, and is it the right thing for my company? There are plenty of resources to help you make that decision. Now, we want to finish up by telling you that we'll actually be hosting a live text Q&A on the event page. So be sure to send your questions to your workshop host, and we will be sure to get them answered. Because we know that no matter how long the presentation is, there are always additional questions. We're ready to answer them. We're excited to talk to you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining us.